Last time I played with this leak-armed bird, I completely forgot that it was a normal type. It's painfully obvious in my previous video. Yeah, I used to be really bad. Today, I'm excited to put my newly formed knowledge and determination to the test and collect some data on Farfetch'd. How well will it manage a solo playthrough of Pokemon Yellow? Let's find out. Here are the rules. I've also left them in the description so you can reference them later. What I find fascinating about this Pokemon is that its stats and move pool sort of counter each other out. Let me explain that. Farfetch'd has awful stats. 52 HP, 65 attack, 55 defense, 58 special, and 60 speed, giving it nearly a 12% chance to crit. I guess for these playthroughs, these are actually pretty good stats, but in the grand scheme of things, yeah, it's bad. Beedrill actually has better attack and speed. Coughing has a higher base stat total, and Pidgeotto has only 5 less attack and 11 more speed. It's hard to think why you'd pick Farfetch'd as your flyer for these games, unless it wins your heart with its sassy demeanor and its weaponized leak. So while its stats are awful, its move pool is sort of broken. Access to Peck at the start and then Slash, Body Slam, and Fly throughout the game gives it good options for same type boosted moves. However, this isn't why its move pool is broken. The status moves are why. Sand Attack, Swords Dance, and Agility. Sand Attack gives it good early options against Brock, and we all know that stat boosting moves are overpowered because of the badge boost glitch. Access to Swords Dance and Agility is incredible, and it gets them really early on. By the way, Farfetch'd is one of 3 Pokemon that learns Swords Dance by level up in Generation 1, the other 2 being Pinsir and Scyther. As a regular Pokemon player, its stats are bad, but as a challenge player, its stats are quite workable, and this move pool is incredible. I think that Farfetch'd is going to be set up for success. I'll face the optional rival, so he picks Jolteon for his ace. Winning here won't be a problem today because Peck gets Stab, giving it an effective power of 52.5, against neutral targets that is. Funnily enough, Wing Attack is also a base 35 power move in Generation 1, and Gust's a normal move. So Peck's a great starting move for a flying type. However, this fight doesn't quite go according to plan once Eevee shows up. I tried Sand Attack to hopefully prevent Tackle, and Farfetch'd gets its accuracy lowered in the process. Despite Eevee setting up 3 Sand Attacks, my Leek Warrior pecks with incredible accuracy and we take the victory. Albeit a lucky one. Maybe next time level 9 would be a safer bet. Now, while I train on bug catchers in the forest, I'll mention some quirks about the amount of experience required to level up in the early game. Generation 1 introduced 4 level curves: fast, medium, slow, and slow. Because of the formulas, Pokemon with the medium slow growth rate level up faster than the medium fast growth rate until level 46. Unfortunately, Farfetch'd has a medium fast growth rate. However, its stab, peck, and super effective damage against the bugs in the forest really offset this disadvantage. I finish off the junior trainer in the gym, and then I go head to head with Brock. My strategy here is quite simple. Set up Sand Attack to prevent damage from Geodude. This starts off feeling like rolling the dice, but once enough Sand Attacks have been set up, it feels very consistent. Then I can use Leer to lower the Rock's defenses, and Peck to finish it off. After 2 uses of Leer, Farfetch'd is doing around a quarter damage, and it takes Geodude out in 4 turns. Onix is next, and here I have to use Sand Attack again. However, this is significantly easier than against Geodude because Onix knows Screech and Bide. These moves give me a lot of time to set up, and after defeating him, I briefly contemplate the results of the fight. Brock was so easy. I feel like I should have done it at a lower level now. Now, a downside of its awesomeness is that I don't fight any optional trainers with it while traversing Mount Moon. After completing the cave and arriving at Nugget Bridge, Farfetch'd is only level 17 as a result. This is a little bit underleveled for the rival, but maybe I can do it. He opens with Spearow, and my Peck's going to be a 3-hit against it. I was really worried about Growl, but he doesn't use it and instead chooses Fury Attack for a second time. It gets a crit, and in Generation 1, every successive hit also gets a crit. This does so much damage to Farfetch'd. Luckily, it only gets 3 hits. Now, I only have Orange Health left for the Sandshrew. I hope that Fury Attack gets a crit for me or a 5-hit, but instead it misses and Sandshrew uses Sand Attack. Just great. I do manage to knock it out with 2 Fury Attacks, but the following Rattata takes Farfetch'd down. I try again, but this time the fights play out very similarly. The Sandshrew's defenses are just too high and I can't knock it out fast enough. Plus, Fury Attack? it has trash accuracy. I head over to the gym because maybe battling the mandatory junior trainer will give me a level up. And it does. Maybe at level 18 the rival's going to be easier. Going into this fight, I was reflecting on the fact that maybe leveling up in Mount Moon against a couple bug catchers and the auditional lass might have been the best play. I'll probably do that on my second playthrough. I really want a 2-hit range for Spearow so that I can avoid Growl, but Peck crits and I take Spearow out in 2 hits anyways this time. Fury Attack misses Sandshrew once. Just great. At least it didn't use Sand Attack. Then Farfetch'd crits and I take it down. Okay, that's good. Rattata's next, and luck's on my side. A single turn of Fury Attack does it. Eevee's last. Fury Attack takes it to orange, my second one takes it to red, Eevee uses Sand Attack, Peck misses, Eevee Tail Whips, and Farfetch'd hits, finishing the fight. Nugget Bridge is fairly simple. Peck is great against the first 2 bugs, and after that Fury Attack and Peck have enough PP to last the entire route. The only obstacle here is the mandatory trainer with a Geodude. I could face the guy with the Onix instead, but that seems like a bad idea. Onix has incredible defense. My strategy here was to use Leer to hopefully maximize damage and delay the defense curl setup. This was a mistake. I should have started with Sand Attack to prevent damage and then used Leer. Because of my misplay, this fight gets very dangerous. I saved in front of the rival, not here, so I really don't want to have to reset. Farfetch'd does end up pulling through on red health, and I win the hidden elixir as a prize. Now, I was really hoping that Nugget Bridge would take Farfetch'd to level 23 so that it could learn Swords Dance for Misty, but unfortunately, I'm only level 22, even after battling 1 optional trainer. I guess I'll try Misty without it. She opens with Staryu. I'm secretly hoping that it will provide enough experience for level 23 when I knock it out. That way I'll have Swords Dance for Starmie. Fury Attack hits 5 times and the Starfish goes down. But Farfetch'd doesn't level up. Starmie's next. Misty uses an X-Defend, Farfetch'd uses Sand Attack, Starmie hits with Bubble Beam for over a third, and I get a second Sand Attack in. From here, the going's gonna be slow, because Starmie got 2 defense boosts. Turns out I didn't set up Sand Attack enough to prevent attacks, and Starmie does enough damage and that's it. I take a different approach in the next fight. Instead of trying for Sand Attack, I'll just go offensive right away. I'm almost certain that I would have lost here if Starmie had attacked on the final turn. Instead it misses, and that's that. Farfetch'd levels up after the Starmie, finally, and now I get to teach it Swords Dance. My first opportunity to use this awesome move is against the Rocket outside of Cerulean City. With +2, Farfetch'd has 101 attack. That's so much attack this early on. Things only get better from here. On the SSN, I grab the TM for Body Slam and I teach it in the place of Fury Attack. I also made a radical choice and I decided to skip Rest. I'm that confident without it. We'll have to see if I end up paying for this later though, because once the SSN leaves, there's no way to get that TM ever again. After I defeat the rival, I have to make another choice, and that's do I fight Surge now or skip him until after I arrive in Celadon. I decide to go for it now. Surge only has 1 Pokemon and he lacks good AI, so I figured that I could win. Mega Kick does a lot of damage, Body Slam doesn't get paralysis, and Thunderbolt knocks Ducks out. But here's the thing about Surge. He's really bad. He could just use X speed first turn and get paralyzed, or Mega Kick could miss. Because of paralysis, I could move first, and with that, the fight's over. In these playthroughs, the journey now to Lavender Town is becoming kind of notorious. Most Pokemon struggle against at least one of the trainers here, if not more. The Rapping Lass is the first of these powerful opponents, but Peck one-shots all of her team members. The Pokemaniac with Cubone and Slowpoke is next. He isn't an issue because I have Swords Dance. This move is so good. Body Slam takes care of the following Pokemaniac Slowpoke, and then something surprising happens. Farfetch'd struggles against the Status Condition Junior Trainer because of, well, a status condition. That's why I named her that. The fact that the Oddish survived allowed it to put me to sleep, and that makes the fight drag on way too long. But it's only a time delay because once I wake up, that's it for her grass types. And now, the final boss of this gauntlet, the most powerful hiker in the entire game. The man, the legend, the self-destructing hiker. My answer for him today is, Sand Attack. If I could just make his Pokemon miss when they use self-destruct, then they'll knock themselves out. Yeah, that'll let me win very easily. However, the first Geodude just refuses to blow up. Now, let's bear witness to how truly unfair this game is sometimes. Geodude uses Rock Throw, and it hits, despite my Sand Attack setup. Rock Throw has 65% accuracy in this game. So yeah, in this moment, I wasn't feeling too good about this. How did the Rock Throw hit? Are you kidding me? Okay, please explode. Explode and miss. Dux is buff. Look at this thing. In Celadon, I sell a ton, and after that I buy a single Pokedoll for Marowak. I immediately second guess this choice and buy a second one. Mimic is just too good, I always want to have it. I buy some proteins and I head out west where I get Fly. This is the best flying type attack that Farfetch'd is going to learn, but I do have to mention that in Generation 1, there's no move deleter. Because of this, once I teach it to Farfetch'd, it's going to be stuck with it forever, like its leak. While that does take away the flexibility in my moveset, I think that I'm almost done learning new moves anyways. Now, the stats that I show in the bottom left of the screen and their stage modifiers are pulled directly from the game's RAM in real time. These are filmed into the footage as I play, so they include all the badge boosts and stat modifications in the game. So this means they're always accurate. What I find funny about this is that Farfetch'd has 137 attack after one Swords Dance, and its defense is 38. That is with -1 on defense, but still, I do have a badge boost from Surge's badge. By the way, the game's text states that the Thunder badge raises your speed, but this is misinformation. His badge actually raises your defense. It's likely due to a programming error, especially because in Generation 2 and Generation 3, the third gym badges raise your speed. Anyways, Farfetch'd and Swords Dance, really great. Its defense, not so great. That's the whole point. Let's move on. Fly makes quick work of Ghastly. I was worried here though because Fly has not great accuracy. 95 is bad. Remember, if it's not 100% accurate, you know the rest. But today I don't miss and I take them down. After defeating the last one, Farfetch'd has the chance to learn Agility. I replace Sand Attack, and now I think that my moveset is complete. So here's how it all synergizes together. Both Fly and Body Slam get Stab, and they don't have an increased chance to crit, so they'll consistently get the attack boosts from Swords Dance. This is why I opted for Body Slam instead of Slash. If my speed isn't enough to take out an opponent's Pokemon, then I can use Agility to double mine and move first. Because of how strong I think this is going to be, I play the next portion of the game with as little training as possible. Erika, quite frankly, is a joke. What would you expect? One Swords Dance is all I need, and then her Pokemon fall in quick succession. Next, I head to Sylph without training. The first trainer here is an optional trainer. I know I said that I was going to do the least amount of training possible, but I always want the Carbos and Rare Candy that he blocks. Unfortunately, I get a miss, making this fight not as easy as I wanted it to be. But at least I get through it without a reset. I clear the single trainer blocking the way to the heal room, and then I fully restore and face the rival. Sandslash leads, and it knows Slash, which is obviously very fitting. Unfortunately, Farfetch'd has terrible defense, like I mentioned before, so this could mean that I'm going to have a really bad day here. But there is a chance that the rival's just going to use bad moves like Poison Sting and Swift. The final move it knows is Sand Attack, which is a normal move in this generation, but even later when it got the ground typing, it still hits flying types. Like, how is that fair? In this fight, it uses Swift, okay that's good, followed by Poison Sting, even better, and then I decide to knock it out. However, even with Farfetch'd having 236 attack, the ground type survives and uses Swift. Okay, so that takes me to orange, but at least I'm proceeding. Ninetales has priority with quick attack, Body Slam KOs it, and Cloyster is next. Body Slam can't do enough, and Farfetch'd gets taken out with Aurora Beam. Reflecting on that fight, I think that it was likely a mistake to come here. Instead, I can work my way through Koga's gym. After all, he's basically a bug-type gym leader in this game. Additionally, all the mandatory trainers in Koga's gym are pretty easy for Farfetch'd to manage because it has physical attacks. Now, let's see how I can do against Koga. Hopefully this will go better than the rival. Venonat's first. Farfetch'd's, so hard to say when it's possessive. Anyways, its speed's 67, so I use Agility to boost mine to 134, that way I'll move first against the Venomoth. It has a speed of 103 by the way. Koga's Psychic lowers special, I set up Swords Dance, and Venonat gets Toxic in. So, that's really bad. Now Fly is going to be a death sentence. I try for Body Slam, it isn't enough, Venonat tackles, I set up one more Swords Dance, take poison damage, another tackle, and then I finish Koga's first team member off. With the final turn of setup, Body Slam can now one-hit the following 2 Venonats. The worry here though is that Venomoth is going to use Double Team and then my fly will miss. Or worse, the Venomoth will resist my fly because it's a fire rock type. But fly connects, strangely doing super effective damage, and with that I've earned the soul badge. With it comes a nice boost to my speed stat as well. I head back to face the rival. This time Sandslash poisons me and then Ninetales takes Farfetch'd to 1 hit point. The barrier still though is Cloyster. Even with +6 attack, Farfetch'd can't take it down. I'm just barely missing the knockout here. I defeat a single rocket, level up to 37, and then try the fight again. This time I one-hit the Cloyster. Okay, good. But then Kadabra goes first. Oh yeah, I forgot that his final 2 Pokemon are quite fast. That means that Jolteon moves first with Thundershock and Farfetch'd goes down. Okay, that's my 7th reset. I really should have just set up Agility. The solution is simple. Swords Dance 2 times for Sandslash so I can one-hit it with Body Slam, then finish my setup with Swords Dance and Agility on Ninetales. This way I can one-shot the Cloyster that follows and outspeed the last 2 Pokemon. Now, when Farfetch'd hits level 39 at the end of this fight, it has the chance to learn Slash. I'll briefly explain why I don't want this move. Reason number 1. Because Farfetch'd has a lower base speed, it doesn't actually max out the crit rate, so it is actually going to be inconsistent. Reason number 2, it does bypass stat changes, making Swords Dance useless. And finally, reason number 3, the damage output from a fully set up Farfetch'd with Body Slam is far greater than a crit with Slash. So, no Slash today. The next fight is Jesse and James, and I accidentally didn't heal before this fight. This happens quite frequently in my playthroughs. Well, after a single Swords Dance, it looks more like I was intentionally trying to put myself into red bar. By the way, when the audio alert is playing, telling you that your Pokemon has red health, you can actually skip some time because the game doesn't have to play all the sounds. It's essentially a speedrunning tactic that I very rarely think about. It's just too hard to know what the damage ranges are when I'm playing with a new Pokemon every single time I do one of these videos. So staying in red health is a little bit too terrifying and nuanced for me. With Sylph out of the way, I grab Mimic, just in case, remember, and then I head over to Sabrina's gym. I'm hoping that Abra will miss here. It does, I get Agility, and with that, I'm able to outspeed her entire team. The Alakazam has 133 speed, and Farfetch'd now has 173. But the issue is that Body Slam doesn't one-hit the Kadabra. It uses Psychic, taking my bird into red, and now I don't have much health remaining for Alakazam. Please just use Recover or X-Defend, or okay, that... My second Body Slam paralyzes, Alakazam recovers, fails to attack because of paralysis, and Farfetch'd knocks it out. That was pure luck. I stop by the department store and feed Farfetch'd some vitamins. I'm prioritizing attack and speed in this case so that when they get multiplied with my setup, I'll gain 4 times as much as a single vitamin would have provided. After that, I continue to skip training by answering all of Blaine's unfair questions correctly. Like, does Caterpie evolve into Butterfree? Yes, it does eventually. Does Poliwag evolve 3 times? No, but it is a 3-stage evolution, and yes, it does evolve 3 times after Generation 2. These questions frustrated me so much as a kid. I didn't care that I had to face the trainer, I was just frustrated that it told me that I was wrong, when clearly it was a trick question. Blaine's next, and yeah, he makes me feel things. Check this out. Hey Blaine, I'm not going to outspeed anything, so I'm going to Agility first turn, then 1 Swords Dance, then try and go for it. Oh, that was brutal. Oh, okay, well. I need 2 Swords Dances. Okay. Can I get 2 Swords Dances in the next fight? The answer is yes, but it requires a lot of luck. Setting up on Ninetales feels awful because it has Confuse Ray. When your Pokemon hits itself in confusion, the game calculates the damage as if it hit itself with a base 40 power physical attack. So it's using your own attack against your own defense. After Swords Dance, Farfetch'd is going to KO itself. But this time I don't hit myself and I make it to Blaine's ace, Arcanine. Confusion ends, Body Slam hits, Arcanine survives, uses Flamethrower, and Farfetch'd goes down. I use 4 rare candies and try again. I did want to save these a bit longer, but I have to use them now because I want to get by Blaine. This time, luck isn't on my side with Confusion, but I did realize here that I should be setting up on Rapidash. It knows Growl instead of Confuse Ray and Tail Whip, which is much better. I go back into the fight without using the rare candies, Agility first turn to ensure the outspeed, then Body Slam to potentially paralyze, and then 2 hit the Ninetales. Well, I guess in this case 3 hit, but that doesn't even work because Confusion still polishes me off. Maybe 3 rare candies will give me a more favorable damage range with Body Slam. Well, I don't even get to find out because Flamethrower crits. After using the rare candies, apparently they aren't enough though. However, even setting up on Rapidash has its challenges because Ninetales used Tail Whip previously, and that makes the horse stomp for massive damage. That's 6 losses against Blaine, so I really need to consider if I should use more rare candies. It's so frequently the case with weak Pokemon, if I use them too early on, then I get walled by Lance or the champion later on after I've saved in the league. I'm really hesitant to use them right now because Farfetch'd still isn't great, so I defeat all the trainers in the gym and take it up 2 levels. Now with 3 rare candies, I'm at level 46. And here's the first fight at this higher level. Okay, Blaine, 46 now, after a little bit of training, so some more stat experience. Agility first turn. Oh, I could not have got more unlucky here. Darn. And now the second one? Again, please not as unlucky. Oh, still quite unlucky. Oh my gosh, even worse. So maybe 3rd time's the charm? Blaine, again, I have a strat. It's gonna work. Agility, Body Slam. Hoping for the paralysis. Don't get it. Promote speeding now. And hopefully set up here. It's not gonna let me. No, it's not. So this isn't going well. When I sat down to examine Farfetch'd, I was pretty sure that Blaine wouldn't be the trainer that caused the most resets. I used 3 more rare candies and then I attempt again at level 49. Bad confusion luck, so that's another loss. Again. Now at this higher level, Sword Stance is badge boosting my speed so that I move first against all of Blaine's team members. That means that I can one-hit Ninetales with Body Slam on my second turn. Rapidash is also a one-hit, and then Arcanine comes out. It gets hit, survives on Orange, uses Fire Blast, misses, and Farfetch'd finally, after a grueling battle, emerges victorious. Albeit bruised and slightly singed, with a lot of luck on its side. I'm moving on to Giovanni's gym now, and the mandatory trainer with Rhyhorn reminds me that going into this, I was worried about Giovanni's Ride-On. Right now, my strategy is pretty simple, like I'm just hoping that Body Slam takes care of it in 2 hits. Maybe Farfetch'd can survive 1 Rock Slide and make that happen. Well, let's see. Luckily for me, Dugtrio leads, and it knows no moves that can damage Farfetch'd. But it does know Sand Attack, so setting up here is almost safe. It's better than trying to set up on Persian though, because it can use Double Team and Slash. Unfortunately, Giovanni gets a Sand Attack with the trio before it goes down. Persian faints, Nidoqueen faints, and then I miss on Nidoking. But it uses Double Kick. Now, Giovanni has good AI, but it's prioritizing which moves it should use wrong because of the internal prioritization in the game. So I'm able to knock it out. It's a good thing it didn't use Thunder. Farfetch'd levels up and that resets its badge boosts, and this is unfortunate because it's just before Ride-On. I go for Body Slam and it does half. Okay, perfect. Rock Slide connects and it does way too much. However, if I use a single rare candy, I might not level up during the fight. An added bonus of trying again is that Giovanni doesn't use Sand Attack this time, and that allows me to one-hit all of his team members, including the Nidoking. Farfetch'd doesn't level up, Ride-On comes out, Body Slam does half, and Rock Slide doesn't do enough. My second Body Slam doesn't do enough either, but it causes paralysis, Ride-On fails to move, and with that, the gym challenge is finished. Now, the only thing between me and the Elite Four is the Rival, and this could be tricky because Sand Slash can do a lot of damage to Farfetch'd while I try to set up. It takes me to red in 2 turns, and I have to make the tough call to attack without completing my setup. Will +4 attack be enough? No it's not. But I paralyze, Sand Slash doesn't move, and that's that. Okay, so I guess it was enough in some ways. Body Slam was enough. This move's so good. Execute falls in a single hit, and Ninetales is next. I really need agility for the Jolteon, but I'm just not going to be able to get it because my health is too low. Cloyster's next, I use Body Slam, and in a surprising turn of events, I actually take it out. That's impressive. This thing has 180 base defense. Kadabra falls, easily of course, and Farfetch'd levels up. Just great. That resets my speed boost, so now Jolteon is definitely going first. I hold my breath as it chooses its move, but it selects Thunder Wave. That doesn't prevent my attack, and with that I've done it. I really should have lost there, but for now, I'll take it. Because the following trainers are honestly the hardest trainers in the game. How is Farfetch'd going to do? Will it get punished for having to use rare candies early on, or will it crush the competition with Sword Stance? I'm really excited to find out. Lorelei's first. Dugong leads, and it gives Farfetch'd a great chance to set up. I use agility once to move first against Jinx, and then I set up 3 sword stances. Cloister's next. I use body slam, and it does it. A single hit, but can't believe it again. Slowbro falls, Jinx follows, and so does Lapras. That was really easy. But you know what's going to be even easier? The Hiker. Honestly, Fly is just a waste of time here. The second Onyx knows Rock Slide, but it isn't even scary because Onyx is, if you didn't already know, very bad. Machamp is last. It's also very bad. Not the Pokemon, just how this Hiker uses it. Agatha's next. Fly has to be my go-to here against the Ghosts. I won't outspeed, so I start by setting up agility, and then I go to Sword Stance. After I've got 3, I start my sweep. Golbat's a one-hit with Body Slam. Fly takes care of Gengar and Haunter. I use Body Slam on Arbok. It survives because of a critical hit. Crits are so annoying sometimes when you're trying to set up in Gen 1. On the next turn, I take it out, and Fly finishes the final Gengar. That was another easy fight, so 3 for 3 so far. However, Lance is next, and here I have a problem. I need to set up agility so that I move first against Aerodactyl. Well, at least I thought that I needed to, like I wrote that in the script, but now that I'm recording this, I'm like, why do I have to move first against the Aerodactyl? Can't I just not? It might be fine, right? Anyways, back to the script. But Gyarados' Hydro Pump is going to do so much damage while I try to set up. Luckily, it misses its second one, and then Farfetch'd survives a Hyper Beam. Okay, do I set up one last time to get +6 attack, or do I attempt the sweep with only +4? Let's try for the sweep. The Dragonairs are easy, Aerodactyl comes out, it survives Body Slam, and that finishes the fight. So I need a full attack setup, but that's going to be tough because Gyarados can knock me out. But in the third fight, it misses Leer twice, then uses Hyper Beam, and that gives me the recharge turn to continue my setup. And with that, that's that. Lance's Pokemon fall one by one to my buff duck. Unless Aerodactyl survives? But it gets a Hyper Potion, I reroll my damage, and this time it goes down. Dragonite falls, and now there's only one trainer left. The champion. He leads with Sandslash. It's time to set up, but then Poison Sting inflicts poison, and that puts Ducks on a timer. After 2 turns of setup, Slash does massive damage, and I decide that now's the time to attack. I take Sandslash and the Alakazam out with ease. Exeggutor's next. I set up agility to move first against the Jolteon. I get a bit greedy here and set up another Swords Dance, and then Exeggutor knocks Farfetch'd out. Without poison, I can easily take it down though. However, Cloyster has the highest base defense in the game. It could still survive my Body Slam. This is the highest level Cloyster that I've seen so far. Well, this time it survived because of a critical hit. Just great. It uses Ice Beam, and that's it. Then, in the next fight, Sandslash finishes me with Slash, and at this point, I started to get a bit worried. Remember back to when I skipped rest? Perhaps that was a mistake. It would be really helpful to be able to just heal at the Exeggutor. Without the ability to do so, I'm going to be bruised when Sandslash faints. Even with nice health, I'm not sure that I'll be able to do it. I take the Alakazam out, use agility, Hypnosis hits, and then I pray. Stomp. Please wake up. Stomp. Please. Okay, finally. Farfetch'd survives Stomp with 7 hit points, and Fly knocks Exeggutor out. But will the Cloyster be a one-hit? The answer is yes. It goes down. Ninetales knows Quick Attack, so this might be over, but it doesn't use it, and Body Slam KOs. Jolteon is last. Farfetch'd moves first though because of agility, and knocks it out. That's it. 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 7 seconds at level 62 with 23 resets, and a game time of 3 hours and 39 minutes. So I wrote in the script that that's a really good first playthrough result, but it's like kind of my second playthrough. However, I didn't really remember much about it from the first playthrough, so yeah, we'll call it a first playthrough result. It's pretty good, I'm really impressed actually, but I'm endlessly curious, so I need to know just how well this thing can perform with some optimizations. However, before that, let's take a breather and face Mewtwo. I just spam Swords Dance, it spams Barrier, we go back and forth for a while, and then I just knock it out, so that was, my break was only 23 seconds. Let's get to testing. Brock is the first test that I want to do. I felt that I was overleveled defeating him at level 13, so maybe I can squeeze through at a lower level. I was in fact right. It turns out that if I start at level 11, Farfetch'd wins 9 out of 10 times. I want to set up 6 sand attacks against each of his Pokemon. The thing to optimize is the number of leers required to minimize the total number of turns spent in this battle. This both makes things safer and speeds up the result. The Geodude has 29 HP, and here's a table of test results regarding damage output from Farfetch'd. It looks like 2 leers is the best against Geodude. That allows me to take it out in 8 turns after setting up the sand attacks. The reason that 2 is better than say 3 or 4, they all share the same number of turns that I need to knock the Geodude out. However, with only 2 leers, if I get a critical hit, it actually doesn't change the number of turns that I need to knock the Geodude out. However, if I use 3 leers, a critical hit will actually reduce the damage of the attack, leading to 1 extra turn in battle. So that's why I don't want to use either 3 or 4 leers. Here are the results for Onix when Farfetch'd levels up to level 12 on Geodude. This is much less important though, because Onix is going to use Bide at least once, and if it does that, I'll just spam leer and go for as many as I can. I didn't really have a test fight here where I beat the Onix without it being at the lowest possible defense. This all took me a while to figure out, and I think it's actually my most in-depth solution for Brock that I have come up with yet. So I'm pretty proud of it. I'm happy with this. Farfetch'd can get by Brock at level 11. The rival on Nugget Bridge was the next area of difficulty for Farfetch'd. I think the solution here is just having a higher level. 19 is reasonable to achieve when training in Mount Moon against some optional trainers. I won't lose too much time doing things this way. However, at level 19, Spearow is a 3-hit with Peck, and Sandshrew is sometimes a 3-hit. Other times, it takes 4. Going up to level 20 would make the Spearow a 2-hit and the Sandshrew a 3-hit, and that's really going to stabilize the fight and prevent lost time. However, I'm leaving an option unexplored here. I could use Leer against Sandshrew to potentially 2-hit it with Peck at level 19, ensuring that it goes down in 3 turns. This would save some time training. This only works though if I've got an additional badge boost from Leer or Sand Attack during the fight. So I think that level 20 is just going to be the best way to do this. For Misty, I really want Swords Dance anyways, and now because I'm leveling up to 20 for the rival, it's going to be much easier to get it by the time I get to her. With 1 use, I can't 1-hit the Staryu, so that's not going to be a good solution. With 2, I can, but my damage ranges against Starmie don't really inspire confidence. I want to 2-hit it even if it gets a defense boost. With maxed attack, Farfetch'd can do it. I get a result of 9-1 against Misty with this strategy. I did try a strategy with Fury attack against Starmie as well. I'm not sure I like it as much because of the chance to miss, but it does have the potential to knock out her Pokemon in a single turn, and that does prevent one of her attacks. Now I want to introduce an interesting question. Is it advantageous to skip Surge until after I have Fly? The backtracking time costs about 40 seconds. I'd say that's roughly 1 or 2 times of reset. At level 29, the level I would be after Rock Tunnel, it looks like Farfetch'd still doesn't move first, and Body Slam's a 2-hit. What about Thunderbolt? Well, I can survive it sometimes, but it can also crit. At level 29, I get a result of 8 wins and 2 losses by just spamming Body Slam. At level 25, which is the level before I would go through Rock Tunnel, Farfetch'd wins 5 times and loses 5 times. The reason is that Surge's physical moves are doing more damage in this case, and Body Slam doesn't 2-hit if it uses Growl. Also, there's no chance that I'll survive a Thunderbolt at this level. I think that backtracking is probably the best choice here, however, it isn't required. There's so much luck in this fight, I could probably just get through it with 1 or 2 resets, and that wouldn't be that much difference in terms of lost time. However, skipping Surge definitely is the safer play, because you could get here and lose like 5 times in a row with just like awful luck. That would be extremely painful. Yeah, anyways. For Koga, I think my prior mistake was move choice order. I test to see if Fly will one-shot the Venonat, and it won't. So I need a single Swords Dance. After that, I can knock out the first 2 Venonats, avoiding attacks. On the third, I can set up Agility. I do this second turn of setup here so that there's less chance that the first one will poison me with Toxic. Then I just need to be able to consistently 1-hit the Venomoth. And with 1 Swords Dance and 1 Agility, I can. There are pitfalls here though. Fly can miss against Venomoth. It also loves to use Double Team. Also, the first Venonat can use Toxic while I get my first Swords Dance in. I think in the case that it gets Toxic off, that spamming out 2 more Swords Dances and hoping for a sweep with Body Slam is the best idea. After all, in Gen 1, poison doesn't activate if you knock the opponent out. I went 6 and 4 with this strategy, so that's a decent result. I experimented with leveling up a bit more to one-shot the first 2 Venonats and then exclusively setting up on the third. Level 37 isn't enough and neither is 40. Sometimes I get the rolls and others I don't. At this point in the playthrough I have 7 rare candies, so using all of them would get Farfetch'd to level 42 without training, but this still isn't enough. As a result, I think the setup strategy is superior for the fastest real-time completion. The Sylph rival fight is basically just luck at level 36. I think it might need to stay this way too, because the end of the game is so easy for Farfetch'd, and using my rare candies before Blaine just doesn't seem like a good idea. To make this fight consistent, I would need to be able to knock the Sandslash out after a single hit from one use of Swords Dance. Even at level 43, after using all my rare candies, this isn't happening. So I could consider a changing to my rooting instead to give me a slightly higher level for this fight, which might also make it more consistent. Generally, my approach when I'm changing up a route is to play through a small portion of the game to feel out how things exactly stack up in context. This time I wanted to go from Sylph to Blaine and then back to Sylph, and this way I would get the special boost and the additional rare candy levels. In Blaine's gym I can also use the trainers here for convenient experience, but these fights actually end up going slower because I'm at a lower level this time. But Blaine is just a wall. I'm just hoping for luck here. On this point, I reflected on my approach with Farfetch'd, and I think that I'm probably just trying to push it a little bit too fast. If I just take some additional time, do some mid-game training, Blaine and the Sylph rival are going to be smoothed out much more. So what level do I need to shoot for? Well, level 50 is more than enough, so I tried at a few lower levels and eventually figured out that level 49 is perfect. 1 badge boost makes me outspeed and body slam KOs Ninetales and Rapidash. I only have to survive a single hit from Arcanine, and then I've done it. I did test Giovanni, and honestly, it isn't good. Rhydon can survive 2 body slams, and Sand Attack is rage-inducing, but I will be able to make it through at level 52. It just might be a bit bumpy, because of the rocks from Rockslide. Get it? The solution for the pre-league rival, in contrast, is much more straightforward. If I use 2 Swords Dances on Sandslash, I can one-hit it and then the Execute. After that, I can set up a single agility on Ninetales so I move first against Jolteon, and that ensures the sweep. Now, I thought of some changes for the league, but I'm going to wait to talk about those until we get there. So let's go into it. Here's my second optimized playthrough with Farfetch'd. This time I don't overtrain for Brock. This involves fighting the optional rival at level 8 and then the 4 bug catchers in the forest. I skip the junior trainer and fight Brock at level 11 as planned. I use my Sand Attack Leer strategy. Geodude does more damage than I would have liked, and it got pretty tense against Onix. But I win and clock in 54 seconds faster than before. That's a nice improvement in the first split. However, the following split is likely going to be even with what I had before, even though I was faster on Brock, just because I'm squeezing in a little bit extra training in this section of the game. I fight the optional Lass on Route 3, and then these trainers in Mount Moon, the Bug Catcher, the Nerd, the other Bug Catcher, the Lass, the Youngster, the Rocket, and finally the mandatory Super Nerd and Team Rocket. My goal level was 20, but I don't quite get there, so I used the 2 trainers in Misty's gym to give Farfetch'd the small push that it needs. The rival opens with Spearow. This will be a 2-hit, but it uses Growl. So that makes it survive an extra turn. It lowers my attack again, and then it faints. This is not a good opening to this fight. I try Fury Attack on Sandshrew. I'm hoping that it crits and gets 5 hits, but it isn't doing very much. I try Sand Attack to lower its accuracy, but despite this, it just keeps hitting me. I take the Rattata down, but miss too many times against Eevee, and that's the first reset. Even with planning, this fight was awful. Fortunately for me though, the second attempt goes according to plan, and I'm moving on. I redeem myself with better play against the Hiker's Geodude on Nugget Bridge. Sand Attack first, followed by Leer with Fury Attack to finish. After defeating the Geodude, Farfetch'd levels up and learns Swords Dance. And with it, Misty is going to be easy. I did opt for the Fury Attack strategy here, and I get lucky with it, taking the Starmie down in a single turn. This split ends up being 41 seconds faster than before. And it's more consistent, so I'm really happy with this result. Next up is Surge, and I decided that today I'll skip him in favor of the slightly more consistent approach. In Rock Tunnel, the Hiker gets me, like of course he does. Self-destruct just doesn't miss enough. But the second fight, Sand Attack comes through for me, and then I can grab Fly, backtrack to Vermilion. This costs me 40 seconds to do, and then Farfetch'd crits Raichu and takes it out in a single hit. Alright, that went well. Obviously this split is much slower than before. That's because I skipped Surge this time. Now I'm going to add in some training, and the timing of this is very important. So I go to Erika's gym first, and after defeating her, I fly to Saffron and finish off the dojo. After all, fly is super effective here. This way, Farfetch'd is a high enough level that repels consistently block all of the encounters in the Safari Zone. Next is Koga. The first Venonat poisons me, so I go for the YOLO strats with 3 swords dances. It actually works, because he just uses an X attack on Venomoth instead of attacking. I trained in Blaine's gym, used 7 rare candies to take Farfetch'd to level 49, and then I faced the Fire Master. 1 swords dance will be enough, but Body Slam has other ideas. It crits, and that prevents the KO. Ninetales uses Confuse Ray, and then everything falls apart. Then I get a bad roll, and I actually didn't know that this was possible. Ninetales survives, does damage with Flamethrower, softening me up for the final Arcanine. That's 2 resets, but luckily I end up winning on my 3rd fight. This didn't feel as good as it should have. I really thought I prepared enough, but apparently I missed that small chance that I get that roll. The rival in Sylph is trivial now because I'm a higher level. Sabrina is also easier. Giovanni is kind and doesn't use Sand Attack. He even uses a guard spec on his Rhydon. That's very nice. Thanks so much for the donation. So how far ahead am I now? In the pre-league rival split, I clock in 5 minutes and 37 seconds faster. That's actually a big improvement, especially if you remember that I'm playing this at 4 times game speed. I'm really happy with this, but can I continue these improvements throughout the league? Let's see. Well, Lorelei hates me so much. Aurora Beam crits turn 1, and that's that. Then Dugong refuses to use Rest and knocks Farfetch'd out, not once, but twice. There's an 80% chance for Rest on turn 2. Come on. Finally, I get it, and that lets me sweep. By the way, with 123 speed at Jinx, Farfetch'd is only outspeeding by 3. So yeah, it's like quite close, but consistent. I replace Body Slam with Mimic for Agatha. She's the next member of the Elite Four. I forget to steal Substitute for a little while, which is pretty sloppy, but eventually I do, and then the sweep is ensured. Now, when I tested Lance, I couldn't find a consistent strategy, but using Mimic to steal Hyper Beam was the best choice. After all, it does get Stab. If I get 1 Agility and 2 Swords Dances in, then I can sweep his entire team. The problem is that getting set up against Gyarados is brutal for Farfetch'd. I figured this strategy was fine because Hydro Pump and Hyper Beam can miss. The latter requires a recharge, and Gyarados could use Leer or Dragon Dance instead. I end up failing 3 times before luck aligns and I get my sweep. Now, brace yourself. I tested Rest, Fly, Agility, and Swords Dance against the champion, and it worked so well. I did 2 fights and swept each time with ease. I figured that it was enough, and I really shouldn't have, because in those fights, I got favorable ranges against the Cloyster. This time, I don't. I had a bias here. I thought that Lance was going to be the hardest trainer, and I underestimated the champion. Poison polishes me off in the 3rd fight, but in the 4th fight, I make it back to Jolteon. And it survives my fly because of a critical hit. So, I gotta do this again. Sandslash takes Farfetch'd out, and then Jolteon survives my next fly. Okay, it went down in a single hit when I was level 62, so I'm just getting bad rolls. Finally, things play out the way I wanted. I get my setup in, and I sweep his team. This finish is only 31 seconds faster than the last one. Yeah, I really don't like it when from playthrough 1 to playthrough 2 I don't improve much. There is actually, in fact, a better way to play all of this. After defeating Brock, I can face more trainers between Pewter City and Cerulean City to really overlevel. This lets Farfetch'd arrive at Cerulean City at level 21. Then I can use the 2 rare candies that I've collected to level up to 23. That lets me learn Swords Dance and fight the Nugget Bridge rival with it. This really is the consistency that I want. Misty's obviously easy after that. I also take on Surge right away instead of backtracking. This is going to be faster because I'm a higher level now. After that, I don't make any changes in the run until I get to Cinnabar Island. Here, I fight all the trainers in the mansion and all the trainers in Blaine's gym. Instead of fighting him right away, I dig out, head to Sylph, and stomp the rival instead. Next is Jesse and James and Giovanni. All of these trainers give Farfetch'd some additional experience. Because I'm already in Saffron, I head over to Sabrina next, and I can use all my rare candies before facing her since Blaine is just around the corner. I'm actually 4 levels higher this time, so I'm outspeeding Kadabra, and that makes this fight more consistent. With her out of the way, my bag is typically filled with high-priced items, so I take the time that I need to buy some vitamins for Farfetch'd. Now I've tried to stack up all of these things so that I have as much advantage against Blaine as possible. I'm 6 levels higher. Can I do it? Let's see. I go for Swords Dance, Ninetales uses Confuse Ray followed by Quick Attack, and Farfetch'd hits itself. On the next turn, Body Slam connects, and that one hits the Fiery Fox. No confusion damage against Rapidash leads to a second 1-hit, and Blaine sends out his ace. I snap out of confusion, and Gen 1 miss. Arcanine uses Flamethrower, but Farfetch'd survives. It uses Body Slam, and doesn't do enough. Okay, pause. I don't have a single reset so far in this playthrough. Am I really gonna lose now because of a Gen 1 miss? Okay, come on. Arcanine chooses Takedown, and it misses. So Body Slam finishes the fight. That was way too close. It really shouldn't have been. I'm also clocking in now 30 seconds faster than my previous attempt, despite gaining all of these extra levels. Giovanni decides to be kind again. No sand attacks, and he again uses Guard Spec on Rhydon. Thank you so much. And now Farfetch'd can sweep through the next 3 trainers. The Rival, Lorelei, and the Hiker are all defeated without resets. For Agatha, I made the biggest change in this run, and I think it's sort of radical. I teach Mimic over Agility. This is going to have consequences, believe me. However, in this fight, it really helps stabilize things so that I can use Substitute. It gets tense when Gengar puts Farfetch'd to sleep with Hypnosis, but I wake up just in time and finish her off. So I taught Mimic over Agility so that I could teach Rest in its place for Lance. This makes the fight much more consistent because I can heal if Gyarados gets bad, but today it's nice and I take it out with ease. What I figured here is that after Swords Dance, Body Slam is going to be doing enough to KO the Aerodactyl anyways. I don't need to outspeed it, I just need to be able to survive a single hit. After that, I should be able to take the Dragonite out in a single turn because I will outspeed it. Turns out, I was right, and this works out. I have no resets so far. This might end up being a perfect run. However, as I said, there are consequences to deleting Agility. Deleting a setup move in Gen 1 is always bad. Now, I can't use it to outspeed Jolteon, but I have a plan. Being a higher level, I figured that I might not level up during the champion fight, ensuring that I would keep my badge boosts from Swords Dance. In that case, I can preserve my badge boosted speed and let Farfetch'd move first against the Punk Rock Doggo. But a level up still takes place, and it's right before Jolteon 2. That gives Farfetch'd 142 speed against Jolteon's 184. The electric type moves first with Thunder Wave, Farfetch'd still moves, and Jolteon goes down. A lucky win, and a playthrough without a single reset. Farfetch'd clocks in with a time of 57 minutes and 2 seconds at level 64. Its game time is 3 hours and 46 minutes. I'm very happy with these results. Since the champion has good AI, Jolteon's going to use either Thunder Wave or Thunder, so there's a 50% chance that it's not going to zap me. Actually, more than 50% chance because Thunder probably won't hit anyways. That move has like the worst accuracy. 2 or 3 resets fishing for luck against the champion would still give me a better completion time than I got before, so I do think that this is the best approach. Now, before I re-rank Farfetch'd, I want to explain how my tier list works. It's really a subjective ranking of the Pokemon, considering the results that they get in all 4 metrics, as well as how I felt while I played them. Except for Seal, I think I ranked it too highly. Should definitely be demoted. However, when I am ranking, I do emphasize real time, but I take everything else into consideration as well. The issue that I've been noticing is that many of these Pokemon were played over a year ago, and my play has dramatically improved since then. For instance, Kabutops got a time of 1 hour and 3 minutes and 30 seconds last May. I know that it's going to do much better than this. Also, Pokemon like Golem, Machamp, Alakazam, and the starters were playing the game when I didn't allow rare candies in Versus videos. That's obviously a huge disadvantage. Others like Gengar I just played awfully with, like I used the worst strategy ever with Gengar. I'm so sorry, Gengar fans. I also hadn't figured out that I wanted to do multiple playthroughs with each Pokemon to really get this data. I really enjoy this approach. So some Pokemon like Drowsy, Dragonair, and Ghastly, they just need second optimized playthroughs. So I'm gonna go back and collect the data because I really want it. I'm truly interested in this. I'll make new videos for the channel or stream these playthroughs on my Twitch just so that you can follow along. Once the new results are in, I'll update the tier list, so stay tuned for those updates. Now, let's re-rank Farfetch'd. Its real time is faster than my best Porygon time, just by seconds. It's slightly slower than Hitmonlee and Clefable. Its game time is around Porygon's average. No resets is impressive. It's also a higher level than Porygon, but honestly, I think that Farfetch'd was much easier to use. After all, I played Porygon so many times, start to finish, and Farfetch'd has only had 4 attempts so far in my entire history of doing these challenges. As a result, today it earns a spot at the top of the A tier, just in front of Porygon. Like, subscribe, ring the chime echo, and comment because I gotta read them all. Also, thanks to my patrons for their support. Now, if you've made it this far, you're incredible. It's bloopers time. Access to Peck at the start and then slash, body slam, and fly throughout the game gives it good options for same type attack mode. I was doing so well. He opens with Spearow. Spearow? Spearow. It's like a spear, right? Like, Fearow kind of looks like a spear with its beak and all. Hey, figuring things out. 25 years later. Eevee tail whips, and then finally Farfetch'd hits, and Farfetch'd. Farfetch'd? Fitched. Am I saying fitched? I think I'm saying fitched. Rock Throw is a 65% accuracy move in this jam. Oh my, what did I say? Remember that Farfetch'd. That's hard. Farfetch'd. Remember that Farfetch'd has really bad defense. I'm just going to say that. Take the S off. Because I can't do it. I can't. I'm going to try like 8 times and just not be able to do it. Venonat's first. Farfetch'd. I actually wrote a joke in the script about how it's hard to say Farfetch'd with a possessive Farfetch'd. It's like a double possessive. It's got the D and then it's got the S. I don't know if I can deliver this joke now that I made a blooper about it. With 1 additional turn of setup, Body Slam can now one-hit all of the following two Venonats. Just amazing sentence. Just great. Then Body Slam to potentially paralyze. Yes, exactly. It uses Double Kick because the good AI isn't prioritizing moves correctly in this case because of the type list ordering. What was that type list ordering? That's just like, well, it is a list and it is of types and it is an order. It is all of those things, but it doesn't sound good when you put them all together. The only thing in my way before I get to the league is the rival. And this one could be tricky because Sandslash can do a lot of damage to Farfetch'd while I try to set up. And I use Body Slam on Arbok. It's the money snake, Arbok. And then Farfetch'd crits Raichu and takes it out in a single hit. Oh my gosh, I just had a rush of adrenaline and I was like, has my software been paused this entire time and I just haven't recorded any of this dialogue? Then I looked over and it was recording. I was like, oh, okay, good. I didn't just waste all that time. For those of you that stuck around, here's the battle against Oak. I set up on Tauros, boosting my attack 6 stages, and then guess what happens? The leak-wielding Ducks sweeps the highest level Pokemon in the game like they're nothing.